Let's make a character for Ghost Mountain. Now, Ghost Mountain is one of the settings that was first introduced in ICRPG Worlds, but it's also available in ICRPG Master Edition. It's a great, fun, and interesting setting. It scratches that cowboy western itch while also introducing that weirdness that just kind of keeps things fresh and interesting, although you can totally, tone that down or really focus in on that if you decide to play. The setting itself is you're out in Ghost Mountain, an island purgatory caught between heaven and hell. The dead aren't dead, folks are beginning to change, and every night the devil threatens to burn it all. Kind of, you're just battling this out and exploring this kind of strange world, this strange purgatory. But when it actually comes to creating a character, as it describes kind of later on, just a little quick little blurb, is that it's more down to earth than what you might experience with Alfheim or Warp Shell. It's less about what you are, which is what you kind of get when you start playing with Alfheim or Warp Shell. Am I a hunter or a tracker? Am I a human? Am I an elf? Am I a goblin? Am I a psychic? Am I a robot? Am I a pilot? You're asking, what am I? But in Ghost Mountain, it really encourages you to ask, who am I? Who am I as a character? Because all Ghost Mountain characters are human, at least according to the rules. As it stands, Ghost Mountain is typically all human. Some are just more worse for wear. And these characters are normal folks. They're here, they're trying to survive, lead normal lives, staying out of the war that's going on between heaven and hell and the devil, but they often get pulled into it through revenge or calamity or needs. And that's where your heroes kind of start, is they were living their lives in this purgatory, and they found themselves pulled into the adventure that's about to happen. And so you kind of like start thinking about, who am I, where is this place, how am I living along those worlds. But then getting down to the actual character creation process, it doesn't specify, stat points. How many do I get? What's my alignment? What's my bonuses? It's very still reminiscent more of ICRPG core than what you might experience in the updated Master Edition. You've got Tracker, Wraith, the Brave, the Gambler, the Shaman, the Mariachi, the Gunslinger, the Old Timer. For me, jumping right into the character creation process, who am I? Who am I in this world? And obviously, I can't help myself but pick a gunslinger. Okay, so I'm going to come down here for a gunslinger. I got my character sheet over here. I've got my world, which is Ghost Mountain. And then this is still, life form is just going to be human. And my type is going to be gunslinger. Okay. But then my story is, again, who am I? And I'm going to, as always, think about this as I'm creating my character and use the stats and the items to kind of influence that. But how many stat points do I get to allot? How many? It's really up to you. I'm actually going to tone it down a little bit, where in Master Edition you start out with 6 points for stats and 4 points for effort. I'm actually just going to tone it down and just have 6 points across the board, similar to core. That way I can keep things fairly low key as I think about my character. So with my gunslinger, I get recommended gear, which is weapons kit, 6 shooters, 2 of them, ammo pouch, and wool poncho. So I'm going to think about those ones and just write those down. Okay, that's my recommended gear. That doesn't mean I have to take those, but that's just the gear that would kind of highlight the gunslinger. But then I do get a starter reward, which is a masterwork revolver. So this is my masterwork revolver, and it comes with an ability. On a successful pistol shot, so after I roll my dex to shoot, if I land it, I can choose afterwards to roll a 1d6, and then if I I roll that d6, fire that many bullets, say it was 4, at that many targets. And then after that, my cylinder is empty. So I've got that ability. So I'm going to just kind of highlight that with a star, and I will try to, eventually write that down or memorize that. And then I've got my milestone rewards, which are potential things that I could earn or suggestions when I, get to that point. And then I've got my starting equipment. So choose any 3. So you can see here that the weapon kit isn't there, but the ammo pouch is, which is 24 capacity. So without one of these, you'd be lucky to keep 6 shots dry in your pocket. So I think for gunslinger, I'm definitely going to take that. So that gives me 24 shots, 24 capacity. And now I'll get into guns in just a second, but for me, when it comes to things like this, or what you find in post-apocalyptic, in like the waste is not kind, ammo is something that I do want to focus on. It's an element of the game that I feel adds to it personally. So tracking bullets is something that I want to do, and that's just why I'm going to take that ammo pouch. If that's not something that's important to you, I really wouldn't worry about tracking bullets. And there's a lot of different ways that you can handle ammo and different things, like usage dice, or just not ignoring it, spending a turn to reload or whatever. But for me, I'm going to track my bullets because I find that exciting in these kind of settings. Wool poncho is not here, but that could be the cold weather gear. It's terrible cold in buckskin. Without this gear, you'll be dead in hours, +1 armor. So I'm going to keep that wool poncho, and I'm going to just add in that +1 defense to it. Weapon kit. You know what? I'm going to get rid of the weapon kit. Oh, I'm going to scratch that out. And then I'm going to put down a bullwhip instead. So that gives me, can be used as a weapon or a grappler. So I'll just highlight weapon or grapple. And I'll have that equipped. My 6 shooters equipped. My ammo pouch equipped. That and my masterwork. So I'll have 2 6 shooters, and then I guess those are coming up in just a second. But I've gotten my 3, which is the poncho, which is the cold weather, the bullwhip, and the ammo. So I've got my 3 starting equipment. And then it doesn't say weapon-wise. It also says I can choose from Alfheim, but I'm going to choose from here. And that's probably where the weapon kit is mentioned. But I'm going to give myself... I've got 2 6 shooters. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get rid of those. I got my masterwork revolver, and I'm going to go with a carbine. Carbine, it has an 8 capacity. All right, so I've got my masterwork revolver, and I've got my carbine. Then you can actually see here when you're looking at the equipment, it's use 1 turn to reload, 1 turn to reload, 2 capacity, 8 capacity, 2 capacity, hit any and all close targets in front of you when firing. So you've got some extra kind of details for here to highlight and emphasize that Weird West quality. If I wanted to, if I wouldn't wanted to play a priest or whatever, I've got holy spells and infernal spells. These are very similar to standard wisdom. Holy spells are wisdom spells. You could play with any one of the standard wisdom spells in Alfheim, but here are some more holy spells that are there. Kind of just roll against the target and then use whiz bonus. Infernal spells are more dangerous, more powerful. They use int. Whether you want to use them as, consider them loot or just as powers, like, it's up to you. All right, then you've got your guns. Now again, I'm a gunslinger, so this is important for me to remember, but Ghost Mountains introduces some special firearm rules to, again, accentuate and highlight how dangerous they are. It adds to the setting. People weren't wearing a lot of armor, they didn't use shields, and so guns were lethal. And so what they recommend here is that big slugs. So if on any attempt of a 15 plus, I do maximum damage. So with my carbine rifle, as I shoot weapon, if I end up rolling 15 plus, I would do maximum damage. Or in the face, if I hit at point blank range, it does maximum automatically. I just have to hit. Knocked silly. Anytime you hit by a firearm for 3 or more damage, roll con to avoid losing a turn. You don't get stunned. I mean, you just got shot. Strict ammo. 6 bullets count as 1 supply. You've got supplies in here, which you can use, and this is a way to emphasize that traveling and how, just moving about. Whether or not you use it, I tend to kind of eschew that a little bit, but tracking bullets is probably where I land on my line. I'd rather track bullets than track supplies, but if it comes into play, I could take some of these supplies to think about like the conditions. Strict ammo, primitive barrels, pistols can only hit near targets unless you roll a natural 20. Duds, wet ammo has a 50% chance of being ruined, which you only find out when firing. Pouches keep the ammo dry, which is why I grabbed it. And then right in an eye. On any gunshot, aim for vitals with a hard roll. If a hit, do not roll damage. Target makes con roll or is dropped to 1 hit point. So that can be pretty intense. And so you can see here, like, I don't have much. I have loot. I don't have a ton of abilities. I don't have powers. I don't have augments. It's just my loot because I'm just a normal folk. I'm just a normal gunslinger. You can totally come up with abilities and do things like that. Like the Masterwork Revolver, I could maybe write that over there as an ability, but it's really up to you. So now my question is from all that, I still have my Masterwork and all there. So what kind of bonuses do I want to do? I'm not going to give myself Lifeform bonus. That's just me, how I'm running it. You can totally do that. Pull it from Alfheim, so that would be 1 int, 1 charisma, but I'm just keeping to 6. So I would say definitely we're going to do a +2 to Dex. We're going to do +1 to Con. And then my Gunslinger, so 1, 2, 3, is going to do +2 to Guns. And he's going to do +1 on Ultimate. So my Gunslinger has a +2 to Dex, +1 to Con. He's got +2 to Guns and +1 Ultimate. And with Con and Loot, he's got his Poncho and his Con. That's going to give him a defense of 12. Right? Now, that's fairly low key, and I like it. I think it will be a lot of fun to play something a little lower powered because it's that emphasis on just standard out, normal folks out in the West with the weirdness going on. So let's think of a name. I'm thinking something like, Tony LaRoche. Tony the Rock in French. And his story, let's see, who was Tony? Definitely, cowboy, he died and whatever, but he is, I think, an outcast from one of the gangs. Let's see, let's say a gang member gone straight. Maybe he lost a bet or he lost a gunfight with the gang leader and, they cast him out. And now he's out wandering Ghost Mountain, just looking for his next meal. And in the adventure, he gets pulled into, just like Magnificent Seven, defending a town, or he gets pulled in as a favor. Maybe he does lose a bet to one of the other heroes, and he says, I guess I lost a game of cards, and I'm in it for the long haul with you. But yeah, that's Tony LaRoche. It's more about who are they than what they are. I like to go lower key, as I said earlier, but you can totally ramp this up to be a standard build with Master Edition. 6 points for stats, 4 points for effort. Find yourself an ability, grab yourself some extra loot, turn any of these milestones into a starting ability, grab any piece of equipment from whatever, and reskin it to be that starting loot, like you do in the standard Master Edition build. But this is kind of how I would handle Ghost Mountain if I were to play.